Okay. So while we wait for people to come in, we're good.
Okay.
It's gonna be about 5 minutes. I'm already set up. I just gotta copy links. Greetings, brother. We're hanging out and waiting for people to join. So the meeting actually starts at 8, regardless of how many are here. So just sit back, hang out. Feel free to discuss anything in the meantime, brother. Glad you came. And then I don't know. I think did you give me the address to send that to you? Travis? I can't remember. You're not, you're muted. You have to unmute.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
There we go. There we go.
There. Okay. Now, what was you wanting to know?
Did you send me an address to send you a PMA?
Yes, and I have the PMA here.
Awesome.
And
awesome.
I sent you the money order already.
Let me mark it down then, because I got to make sure I keep track of everybody. And like I said, this is just a construct. Awesome. Awesome. And as you can see, it's just a cheap bound form, book bound form. And that's all we need in simplicity is an establishment. And then from that, we can build our foundation. And that's what I'm in the process of doing right now. So as it's constructed, the intent of the PMA is as it is.
Right.
Piece. So nobody can destroy that. And there's no commerciality in it yet. There won't be any commerciality into it unless you put it in there. And that's why we keep everything private. And then if there is a commercial issue, that's what goes on the public record, but it doesn't go there as a probate issue. It goes as a commercial issue, and they are to arbitrate. It is not for any kind of enforcement, merely for arbitration to make sure everything still remains fair. And that's the problem.
I got a question for you. I was watching one of your, because although I haven't I haven't been able to get into this because I was really sick for a while, and I'm doing good now. But anyways, I've been at least keeping up and listening to the videos over and over and over at work. And I listened to that one where you're talking about they make the statement of live birth, and then from that they make the certificate of live birth, and then from the certificate of live birth they make the birth certificate, and then from that they make the Social Security. Now, I heard you stating that the Social Security was a situs trust, and then that the birth certificate was actually the public the public trust. Oh, I have it all written down here somewhere.
It's the public holding of the trust. It clarifies.
Right.
trust. It's the actual trust instrument. And what we're supposed to do is accept it and then see when the state has it now in its form now, it's in custody. When we
Okay.
get it, we are the actual intended recipient, meaning we are the owner. As owner, we want to settle all accounts. So we now come forth as the settler and make an assignment by properly making a banker's endorsement on the back by placing its value in the payment schedule. And then we attach an allongement. It's an attachment. And that's the affidavit of the assignment, instructing them as the trustee now to take care of all the transfers for settling the accounts and returning all residual back to yourself. And we do this under a revocation of powers of attorney and restoration of rights. And that's it. We're just
You know,
taking it out of probate and restoring it to our private rights.
to me, this right here makes so much more sense than like a secured party creditor because there's so much work involved with that. With the way you've got it set up, this is international and you can go live your life. It's their responsibility now.
Correct. See, and that's what I tried to explain to Patrick Devine, and we'll go ahead and get it started here as soon as I get done with this, because this is an important piece to realize, people. When I spoke to Patrick Devine about his process, he was going for the Series 7 broker's license so he could be the transfer agent. That is not our job. We don't have the oath to take upon that transfer agent position. And so in our capacity, we don't want to take upon the oath. We want to rebut the oath because we've already accepted his oath, and he's a respecter of no persons. So we're going to redeem the person that is a bastard child in their name, and we are going to merge it with the good name and reorganize it so it can now do the good works of our Father which art in heaven, which are purely donations. So every issue now is no longer a security, it's a donation. Now, as a donation, that is coming from a zero balance account as a drawdown of credits that are already established. And so we're just drawing off of the credits that are already established. And then every quarter or every year, it goes back to a zero balance because of the donation. That's the tax.
Right, right.
It's the TIV. TIV means to give, to donate freely. And so we provide the tax first, and that is the tax write-off.
Really?
And it's 100%.
I got a question for you on that because I looked up situs in my Black's Law and it made so much sense because it says in the Latin, that's where they get site and the jurisdiction. And the 14th Amendment citizen, they created it, they control it.
Right. That is the venue.
And it said something about imports.
Yes. Everything you do on a keyboard is you're entering a keystroke. Each keystroke has what's known as a security certificate attached to it. This is how the crypto blockchain works. And I'm professing we use the electronic blockchain that already exists with those security certificates. Each one is in a timeline, and it's electronically recorded according to a time date stamp. It's automatically generated. The difference is that we have to discern that it is no longer an electronic export information. It is not to be exported. We have to develop our own virtual private networks and use private host domains, domain extensions. And this is why I'm talking about the post. That's your highest level of security because you get to implement the NIAX codes in the programming that securitizes all of the ports, which there's only one, yours. You are the port marshal.
So we're not importing and exporting no more.
Correct. We are holding the station of entrepot, the entry port. We are the port of entry. If we don't clear it for our entry, then we don't have to. You can't force your shit on us. And that's why we, like I said, I prefer to pose that we should establish ourselves on an international website first. Get that
Right.
international recognition on the international forum in a peaceful format, one not of commerce. Commerce means war. It is regulated by the law of land warfare, the Lieber Code, martial law. It enforces contracts that are enforceable for breach of contract. Otherwise, a contract is not enforceable. It is amendable,
Oh,
ever
that makes
changing.
sense.
Yep. So let's get into it with tonight's thing, and we'll wrap back up to that because that is an important part of it.
Cool.
And so tonight I want to start out that, like I said in a couple sessions ago, what we're trying to do is exit the commercial system and make a re-entry into what we're supposed to be, and that is the redemption. Redemption, folks, stands for buy back. And in today's terms, the way we buy things is through things called legal tender. And legal tender is merely defined as negotiable instruments. Again, it can't be enforced. It's under negotiation. So when we reclaim the redemption of the land, we get rid of the commercial aspect. And in so doing, we want to know how to claim the ownership of the land. And it comes to a guide to adverse possession and first registration. And this is what I talk about, the entry documents. When we put entry documents into the land records, they have to be concise and they have to be proper. In order to do that, on the private side, we can't use solicitors. We have to do it self. We have to do it by ourselves. We have to stand our square. When we go to using probate solicitors, then it automatically moves that property into probate. So what I want to make clear here is we can hire attorneys, but we assign them the proper authority to do the proper transfers. And that is merely a transfer of the instrument and not of any interests, rights, titles, or anything else. Because when it comes to title, a title is absolute, whereas possession is the lien, and the lien is instrumented by the documents. So when we correct that one document and prove that we have the superior lien, nobody else can place a lien to it, we are clarifying that we have the absolute title. We don't need to prove title. We just need to prove that we possess the absolute lien. Pure and simple. And that is through our negotiations, which are private. Period. And here it says, and I'll post this link in the chat section real quick. And then the next section, and this is just some reading materials because I haven't read this entirely yet, but it says, have you occupied a piece of land for so long that you now consider it to be yours? Well, this is a misconception. The problem is, like I said, they have to register the certain documents on the land registry. Those registrations are abandoned on the face because they are not securitized. They don't have the revenue stamp. They don't have the proper signature. They don't have the proper seals. They're not properly administrated, recorded, whatever. So what we do is we call them on it and place our own proper entry into the land records by making a valid claim of adverse possession because nobody else rightly possesses it. Now, we can do this to people that have some kind of possessory claim because, again, their possession claim is false. But I don't recommend that. What I recommend is a better, more equitable sense in like veterans that are homeless can claim properties that are abandoned merely by moving in and fixing it by securing all hatches. Very succinct wording here, people. Securing all hatches, windows, doors, frames, everything. Fix it so nobody else can enter it without forcing entry. That proves maintenance for security reasons. Pure and simple. And we'll talk about this more along the lines. But what they're talking about is it has never been registered at the land registry, then you get the right to make the first entry. First entry, not first registration. First entry, because the registration as it is either abandoned or false or has an error, hasn't been properly conveyed, whatever. All you got to do is find that inconsistency and say, okay, I make the proper entry. And you have lost the original deeds. Most of these aren't going to have original deeds. They're going to have like warranty deeds, something like that. Is it possible to claim ownership of land and register the title at land registry so long as certain conditions are met? What class of title will I be awarded? Freehold property is registered at land registry under two main classes of title. Absolute title and possessory title. Guess what? All these banks claim possession. They can't claim absolute title. Only a live man can do so. Period. So if it's done through a solicitor and the live man is no longer around, or the name is in that other than a live man, then we need to find out if that's an absolute title or not. Because if it's not, then we need to perfect it. Absolute title means that the owner's title to the property is indisputable and that no one else can try to claim that they are the rightful owners. This is, of course, the best kind of ownership. Possessory title is given. Absolute title means that the owner's title to the property is indisputable and no one else can try to claim because that claim is already finalized. Possessory title is given. So possessory title can only be given by somebody that has a valid claim of absolute title. So if there is no absolute title on the record, nobody can give possessory title. It too is a claim by possession. Their claim of possession is to the fixtures and not to the land. They cannot make a claim to the land. So take all of your fixtures off and I make a claim to everything under those fixtures. Remove your fixtures or I will remove them for you. They will go curbside to the easement, which is a donation. This is why anything that's placed in the easement is up for grabs. When somebody gets evicted and they place all the property on the easement, it's up for grabs. It is thereby immediately deemed abandoned unless the owner stands by and continues his claim, possessory claim of the incidentals themselves. He doesn't make claim to the land of the easement, but he can make possessory claim of his items. This is the same thing the bank is doing, and they don't have land title. When the applicant, see, means you have to apply for possession in this sense. So if you've applied, then you've applied to somebody that claims they have possessory title, but can't prove absolute title. And they put out an application, which is an offer or an advertisement. And that means they are a solicitor. Understand the language and realize what is happening before your own eyes, people. And here it says, cannot produce. It says possessory title is given when the applicant cannot produce evidence of ownership. Now, what about the guy that says he can give it? Can he produce evidence of ownership? Because if he can't give evidence of ownership, then he can't give possessory title. Reason and logic, people. Reason and logic, i.e., no deeds, and is usually the title awarded to adverse possession applications. You don't need to apply to take adverse possession. If it's abandoned, all you have to do is step on it and secure the hatches, showing your intent and your effort through your physical labor, your good works, to do so to the effect that it did secure all hatches. And it says, and is usually the title awarded to adverse possession applications. Applications and not applicants. It didn't get awarded to the guy that applied. It got awarded to the application. It got attached to the application. Now, if that application, say the warranty deed is sitting on the record and there's nothing attached to it, then it fails securities. It hasn't been securitized. Sounds like to me that when you award something, you attach it to what it applies to. After a period of 12 years, the proprietary or proprietor of a possessory title may apply to have the title upgraded to absolute, so long as no objections to their ownership have been raised during that time. I find this incomplete or inaccurate because it only takes a matter of 3 notices, 1 day a week in the local paper or in an international publication noticing that you have taken possession. And anybody that has a valid claim has that time to come forth and make that claim. Just because they say they want to extend it to 12 years, the law is the law. You can't avoid it by saying, well, I put a 12-year extension on it. Where dost thou get the authority? Because as far as I know, the Lord preserves thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. That says from right now, not 12 years from now. So I am being gracious in giving you 3 weeks. So anyway, there's that link. And then the next link is a federal tax deductibility of conservation.
Hey, Keith.
Yes.
Can we back up just a second, please?
Sure.
You know, it right there when it was saying adverse possession, is the county doing that? Is that what they're really doing? Is adverse possession on everyone's property? Because they're doing this 12-year claim right here, kind of, and nobody is objecting to it. So it's like they have got this given. In other words, it's like it's been given to them. So they're claiming that position over my stuff and your stuff. That's what
Exactly.
this looks like right here.
Well, and that's what I said about the fixtures.
Well, yeah, tell them to come get their damn fixtures. Okay, now then here's the thing. If I've been living in the property for an X amount of time, then they haven't lived in it. They don't have possession. Okay. How's the county saying they lived in the property? They haven't lived in it. Where in the hell are they getting all of this like they own the property and you have no rights, title, or interest or assets? You know, they're making that kind of claim that you have none and they have it all.
Well, that's
And
why
they
I
can-
say their actual claim is only to the interest that they hold on the paper.
But they don't have an interest on paper,
And,
really.
Well, let me tell you something. That interest is in the fixtures, which came from the commodities that are being sold on the market.
Oh,
That's
there's where it's. Oh, it's coming indirectly is the real way to say this then.
Yep. They're
Man.
using indirect adverse possession,
Damn.
claiming possession to the fixtures, which is merely the paper claiming the interest in the actual physical property.
Damn.
Because
Okay.
it's not, look, so let me ask you this. So the property that the banks have, they basically have done exactly the same thing, which is the possession part, but can't you take that property from the bank?
Every last one of them. They can't make an absolute
Don't give
title.
me no ideas, because I got my eye on some. I've been looking
Oh, yeah,
at
we've got a gal down. We've got a gal in the group on Tuesdays and Thursdays that's already got her utilities are all paid, cable, phone, gas, water, everything. It all goes straight through now. She doesn't spend a dime. And not only that, she turned around and found an abandoned house, made a claim, an adverse claim, just like this here, simply by publication. She didn't have to go in and possess it. She just put an entry into the docket by grabbing that warranty deed and securitizing it, and then put a public notice in the paper noticing everybody that she made a claim on that warranty deed. Anybody else that has a superior claim has to come and defeat her lien, her possessory
So
lien.
basically what I need to do is I need to go down to the courthouse and, well, first look the property up, go down to the courthouse and see if there's a warranty deed, right? And if it's there, then tell them I want to do an adverse claim.
No, you don't tell them that.
Oh,
You just get a copy of that warranty deed, and you put a $1 stamp on the top right-hand corner. You sign it on the bottom, flip it over, and put a banker's acceptance on it, and then file it in file and notice that you securitized it in the public newspaper 1 day a week. And anybody that has a superior claim has to come defeat that lien.
Okay. And I can do that with a deed. See, here in Tennessee, it's called a deed of trust.
it
It's just-
sure is.
and
over
I
in
can do the
Tennessee.
exact same thing with that. Okay. Now then, I seen the tax assessor yesterday, and I went there and disputed the classification. You know, as a residence. You know, I said this is private property. Okay, and he goes, "Well, there is no way for the only codes is the 3 codes for commercial." And I said, "Okay,
You know what?
then let's
Don't
just
miss
take."
it.
Let's just take all the codes away. We don't need a code on this property then, and we can take it off the tax roll. And he said that so he set me up an appointment to see the county attorney, which is out of town till next Tuesday. So I'm going to get to see him Tuesday or Wednesday. What am I going to show him?
You don't want to talk to the attorney. You want to talk to the commissioner. It's
Okay.
his responsibility.
Okay. Here we have something called a county mayor. Does that have anything to do with the commissioner? The county mayor?
I don't know. We'll have to do some research and find out who's operating as the county commissioner, because that's
Okay.
the one you want to talk to. He's the one that's responsible for the classification. And if he doesn't know how to classify private from public, by the simple discretion that it is not operating commercially, then there is no commercial business opportunity going on. Therefore, there cannot be any taxes.
That's right. That's what I told him, and he says, there's just no code for me to put it in like that, was what the tax assessor's position was.
Well, that's exactly what we want. We want it expunged from your record. It's not public property. Do not
That-
quit making your fucking idiotic claims. And that's what we want.
Okay, so what do you say is the next step for me to do? Do I want to put a dollar stamp on my
What
deed?
do you got going on? Is it your property?
Yes,
And what do you have for proof of that?
the deed of trust.
You're going to take that deed of trust and you're going to copy that thing. And you're going to put a dollar stamp on the top right-hand corner.
Yep.
You're going to lodge an attachment to it describing it as the private property with no rights, titles, or interest being transferred to probate public court, because there is in fact a living will. And it
Okay.
has nothing to do with commerce. None of your business. If you think I'm performing commercially for you or in your jurisdiction, you would have to prove it in my private land.
Okay, when you say it like that, that's rolling it over to them. They have to prove commerce. Okay. Now then, the way they like to pretend that is the fact that you're getting mail there and you're getting electricity, but that's not proven commerce. That's just a function of existing. I got to have electricity to keep the heat on.
Yep. And that's why I suggest getting rid of that physical federal address and get that international website going.
Yeah, I know. And that's what I want to do. Okay.
Yep.
So when you get the website, then everything goes through the website. When you pay anything, like pay utilities or anything, they should be paying all these utilities. It shouldn't be.
Well, no, it should be an automatic transfer, because that's in fact what it is.
Let me ask you something. So have you gotten the international
Website. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Have you got it? Are you searching for it, or what's the deal on that?
I've got a website myself on the internet, and it's a .art extension. So that's not in a commercial venue. So that's already set up. But the problem with that is that I'm still using other people's NIAX codes in the programming. So that subjects me to their like BraveNet. BraveNet itself actually operates as a .com site. So their NIAX codes have to go by this international commercial code. In that, it institutes that commercial programming in my .art site, even though I'm not operating commercially.
Okay, so what is it that you're wanting to do? Because I have somebody that's really good at the computer stuff. It took me a minute to track them down, but I found them. But they told me they're getting into like doing the securities of where your site won't get tampered with. That's what they're
Right, the virtual private network. And that's where we can set up our own servers and develop our own internal operating systems by the NIAX codes, because the NIAX codes now are transformed into
So you're wanting to do a virtual private internet.
Yep.
And the only thing you need for a server
one
is
single address on the internet, and everything has to clear through that first before it can filter down through any lower jurisdiction.
I'll talk to him and ask him, because he's real smooth. I'm like, boy, it took me to try to track you down. I really need you. Look.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, because like I said, I'm still developing my site, but as it is, once I get it all set up, it's going to end up being on a .post site. So I'll probably
because that's what he was telling me.
site.
He said, well, I've gotten into where basically I provide security where your site don't get. I'm like, really? I said, that's what I'm needing, security.
Yep.
For the,
Yeah, I'd
for
be
the,
interested
for
to
the
get-
security.
Yeah, and I'd be interested to get together with him to find out what he knows about the programming the NIAX codes.
Yeah. Keith.
Oh.
All right. I did, Rob Ryder had acceptance of the deed. Do you recall that? Okay.
Yep.
I did that back in 2011, and and I asked for my property to be taken off the tax roll at that time. I accepted the deed and all that and said fee simple absolute, I'm claiming that, and it didn't do any good. Okay. Some people got theirs off the tax roll. With mine, they disregarded it. Okay. I did it and put it in the county recorder's office, got a certified copy back, and I've got the certified copy here. is there any benefit to that, putting a dollar bill on that also and securitizing that? Or do it just need a copy of the original deed of trust and put the dollar on it?
You can do it any way you want, really,
Okay.
because you're going to have superior claim. And when that claim is done, that itself is going to be the absolute title.
Copy it out on some bond paper. Get some bond paper.
Does it, mine's on, right now it's on legal size, paper is the way it was all did back then.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking
Yeah,
about
I know. I'm just wondering,
100%
Keith,
cotton.
does it matter about the paper? Because when we put the dollar on it, that's all it takes. It's got value then.
Substance over form.
Yep. See, when you put that dollar stamp, it has value, and that trumps anything of their world, because nothing in their world has value. So I can just go to the post office and get a dollar stamp and put it on there on the
You
right
don't even have to go to the post office and get a dollar stamp. You can literally make your own homemade stamp.
Okay.
I've
All right. Here's
shown
what
this before. You just got to
yes.
be able to connect the numbering system.
What do you mean connecting the numbering system?
Everything is operated by numbers. The key is in the postal terms, and it says the definition of key: to press numbered keys or other identifiers. So without even questioning about what those other identifiers are first, let's talk about the first part that you're supposed to enter: to press numbered keys or other identifiers. In Customs and Border Protection, Title 19 of the CFR 149.3, it says shippers, importers of records, buyers, and sellers all have the right to use an internationally recognized number in lieu of the name and address.
Right, like what I sent you today.
Yep.
Exactly.
International Securities
so much stuff on there,
Identification
it
Number.
shocked me.
Yep. Today in America and the UK, they use the QSIP number. And like my sister Amara here and I were talking earlier, we can convert that national social insurance number to an internationally recognized number, which is the International Securities Identification Number. And the only way that anything can be securitized from that point on is if it goes through the clearing office, through the Marshall Post first.
Oh my.
Which
You
is
know
the
what?
custom house.
Okay,
They used to
Keith.
call it back in the day, the custom houses were the import houses.
Keith, what you was just saying, when the police pull you over and write you a ticket, they're wanting to go to your Social Security account and process you through that. Okay. So if I can change my Social Security number to this international number, all of a sudden that blocks them and they can never process me again, can they?
No,
because they're coming at,
and
like
then
I said,
then there's another one. You seen the one, the IBAN number, right?
IDN number.
Key. You didn't see the IB as in boy, AN. That's a number too. That's for a certain
IBAN,
bond.
International Banking Association number.
Yeah.
That's a routing transit number. Like I said, we have freedom of transit.
Right.
And they're routing everything and they're routing it wrong. So when that officer starts at the municipal level, he is operating in a black market. It's dark and shadowy, and it operates with persons, and they slip in and out of every little nook and cranny through all jurisdictions. Whereas if you stop it at the upper level first, it can't trickle down.
Right. So it stops them. So then you have a SEDOL number, the SEDOL number. It's on that. It's a bunch of them. That's why I sent you the first one that I sent you. They're all at the very bottom. It tells you about all the numbers. And I thought all of them was important. That's why I kept that, because I think all of them are going to be important to what you're doing. So you'll be able to, we'll be able to maneuver.
Okay. Getting back
those are internal numbers for, again, like I mentioned to Patrick Devine, people that want to get licenses to do the trades and exchanges.
Okay. Getting back to what you were saying about, I have mailed, done mail before, right? Make my own mail, and up in the right side, just put like a star and put my initials in there, and that made it like a seal, right? And I mailed at least 20 different letters to friends just for the heck of it, and they'd mail back to me. It goes 100% of the time. And what we always had to do though is put it in kind of like the night deposit part of the post office. We didn't put it out here in those
Yeah, you
little,
go inside and put it in that little blue slot.
we'd
Yeah,
have to do
that's
that.
for private mail.
Yep.
And
That's
that
private.
and that's why when I put that private seal on there, that was just my initials. That's it, you know. And then we've done it with a thumbprint. We've done it that way, and we have tested this, you know, years ago, 10 years ago, and it every time would come through, you know. So we have our own value right there when we do that, but it would be better if we change our social security number over this international code like you're talking about. Then we can use that as our seal if we want to, and that's a higher
Oh,
level of,
hey, it's gonna do more than just that. Look.
but that's a high level of a seal when you do that. That's real high level of seal. Okay.
You know, high level is this number. And I saying it's a bad way. You start look it up, send it to him, I guess, in the chat or whatever. But
Yeah,
look
put
up the
that in the
I
chat
send,
for me so I can find that,
because that
please.
right there blew me away. I was like, whoa, back up.
Yeah, right.
CUSIP numbers for iSends. I got some CUSIP numbers for you. Look, but there's a process you got to go through in order to get set up, because you got to make an agreement. So that's good. That lets you know it's private. It's
Right.
not in the public.
And notice that said agreement, and that goes in,
Yeah.
that's in right in accordance with me talking about adopting the Constitution of the UPU.
And that's why I
Line
got
item
that from
veto.
when you said agreement.
You're
Being
going to make a new
private.
contract with that, but it's not going to be a contract. It's going to be the agreement on the international level to peace.
Right.
Okay.
So
What do you,
that's the number.
okay, on this website, what do I need to do to get my own unique number from them?
Well, wait a minute. You just can't just get that number. You got a process you got to go through. You got to, it's on that. It'll tell you all the stuff that you got to do in order to get that number, but you got to do some writing.
Right. Basic concept in accounting is we're going to do revocation of powers of attorney as settler, and then do some assignments to settle all accounts, to clear all obligations, rights, titles, duties, and interests, with all residual being returned to the private, being expunged from or removed from the public probate and returned and restored to the private.
And would you please repeat that in a recording and send it to me in an email? There is no way I'm going to remember that. And I need that information. No,
Well,
don't laugh. I'm serious as hell.
Yeah, this is being recorded right now.
Yeah.
Right. But can I get a copy of it?
I will write it up.
Thank you, because I really need to know that. So as soon as I get more important information, I'll funnel it your way. But yeah, that I sent, that right there just knocked the hole in something. I mean, that just even the field right there all in itself, because you're getting rid of them numbers that they had connected to you, and you're going completely private.
Yep. And again, like I said, it's the key is to press numbered keys or other identifiers. So let's just work with the numbers then.
Well,
So
keeps all the other.
basically, you want to come up with a language that's based off of numbers, because every time you hit a key, so you have to, so that's kind of like what David Wynn Miller done when he came up with quantum grammar. He had them where it's a number
step by
system.
step. Yep.
Right. And if you learned that system, you definitely wouldn't, you'd never be broke a day in your life. Look,
okay.
but you really aren't. But you'll be good and credity.
We're getting ready to shut down. We're getting ready to come up on the time limit. I want to thank everybody for coming. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be doing this. So God bless you. I love you. I'm gonna post the links along with my PayPal and my other platforms. Please hit that share button.
And don't forget to send the recording. I need it, please, or writing or whatever.
As soon as it's downloaded, I'm going to upload it right back up to Facebook. So it'll be about a half hour.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate you. See you tomorrow.